Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Hope everyone is doing well. And thank you so much for joining me here live on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. So let's get right to it, you guys. I want to tell you a little story of a woman, a U.S. citizen woman, Aliya Rahman. Okay. On January 13th of this year, Aliya Rahman was heading to her doctor's appointment for her brain injury, and she got blocked because apparently ICE agents blocked the middle of the road while she was trying to attend to her doctor's appointment. And give you a little backstory of this, that they dragged her out of her car. She screamed and told them that she was disabled. They didn't care. They broke her window, the passenger side of the window, and they kept screaming at her for her to get out of the car, repeatedly get out of the effing car, according to one ICE agent. And she kept telling them she couldn't, she can't, because she is disabled. But they didn't care. They really didn't care. They took a knife and cut the seatbelt and dragged her out of the window like a dog, like a straight dog that she is. And I'm like, where is the humanity? Where is the compassion, the empathy for a ICE agent, okay, let alone a man dragging a woman, this picture, just dragging a woman out of the vehicle disabled. Can you imagine someone doing that to your mother, your sister, your daughter that's disabled? It's utterly disgusting. And, I know a lot of things has been happening in Minnesota, and, two people have been killed, Renee Good, Alex Pretty, and a lot of arrests, a lot of U.S. citizens are being detained and being harassed and asking for papers when they are U.S. citizens. And, I just have to say, because I know I talked about it a little bit about ICE agents, I'm not opposed for them doing their job because they have a job to do. And their job is to arrest illegal criminals. That's their job. However, their job is not to harass, detain U.S. citizens, okay? It's their First Amendment rights as U.S. citizens to protest. And we all want peaceful protests. We don't want any violence. We don't want anyone to engage in ICE and get in the way. That's not what protest is all about. You can't get in the way and interfere when ICE is arresting illegal criminals. We want them off the streets. We want them out of the United States and going back to their country. I want to be very clear and honest with you guys. That's what I voted for. I voted for illegal criminals to get out, no longer committing crimes in U.S. soil. Now, a lot of people are going to debate and ask, well, what about those people who've been here for like 20 plus years or longer, and they do the right thing by paying their taxes and they're following the laws and following the rules. And I did say in my previous videos, if they're not committing crimes, I don't see why not they can't stay. And I said that to my sister, and I said that to someone else. And then she pointed out to me, she said, well, wait a minute, Cheryl. Think about it. If I went to Italy, right, and I overstayed, they're going to tell me, Miss Mildor, you overstayed. You have to go. You can't no longer stay in Italy because you have passed your visit. And if you want to stay here legally, you have to file papers. And when she told me that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. You're right. I can't stay in another country without having proper papers, not following the proper channels. Now I get it. You have these migrants that did not do the proper channel, and they came here to have a better life because of the situation that they were in their other countries with, crimes and people being sex trafficking and among other things. And they come to the United States to have a better life, and they work their ass off. It doesn't matter what they do, as long as they're here in the United States, whether it's housekeeping, whether it's doing like low minimum job that most of us wouldn't do. But they do what they have to do to survive and to keep low and to do do what they have to do for their family. And I respect that. I respect those ones that work hard, they pay their taxes and they do the right thing to provide for their family. However, at the same token, they came here illegally. And if you want to come back here, you should follow the proper channels like any of us would. You know what I mean? If you go to Canada, if we go to Italy, if you go to any foreign country, China or whatever, we can't stay that long. If you overstay, then they're going to kick us out and say, you got to go. You have to go. You have to go back to your country. And if you want to come here and you want to live in our country, then you have to follow the proper channels. And I don't understand why other countries are so strict and so lenient about that. But when it comes to us, the United States, that we're soft and people get angry and people get mad. And I get it. I understand both aspect of it, that we shouldn't arrest migrants that's been here for a long time and they do the right thing. They're good people. I get that. However, they came here honestly illegally. They don't have their proper channels and the proper papers. Now, with that being said, I don't think ICE should arrest people. They shouldn't arrest them and go to their place of business or go to the schools and do that. No, there should be proper channels to arrest the criminals. Now, going back to this, what happened to Aliya Rahman is just terrible. It's just awful and it's utterly disgusting. And for the first time, she went up to Congress, I believe. And let me just make sure I get this corrected. Sorry. She publicly testified, of what happened to her. And before I show you the video of her testimony, I want to show you the image of her, what happened to her when the ICE agent dragged her out of the car like a rag dog, like a dog. And she repeatedly said she's disabled, and she was heading to her doctor's appointment for her brain injury. Now, she was not protesting, she was not blocking traffic, she was not doing none of that stuff. It was just sadly to say, I'm not going to say happily, it was sadly that she was on her way to the doctor's office when ICE agents blocked that area. So that's not her fault. And one of the agents said, well, she was harassing one of the agents. I'm like, where's accountability? One of your agents dragged this woman out of her vehicle, and she numerous times said that she's disabled. She had a brain bleed, okay? And your agents disregarded this woman. It's just disgusting. And instead of saying, we're sorry, we're going to hold these agents full accountable, we're going to suspend them or whatever, the other agent justified what the agent did to her when there shouldn't be no justification of that. You know what I mean? So take a look at this video of what happened to Aliya Rahman when she was removed out of her vehicle like a rag dog, when she was just heading to her doctor's appointment, and they just basically didn't treat her like a human being, and they just treated her like she was some piece of garbage. Take a look.
And 2 blocks away from where Renee Good was killed, Aliya Rahman, a U.S. citizen, was trying to get to an appointment at a traumatic brain injury clinic when she came upon ICE officers who were blocking traffic after arresting 4 people. We reviewed footage of the entire incident. Rahman's lawyer told us she was overwhelmed by conflicting commands from ICE. In chaos, you can hear her say she is disabled.
And you can see she's still strapped on her license. Excuse me. You can still see that she is still strapped on in the vehicle, and one of the ICE agents took a knife and cut it. Let me just show it to you again so you guys can see. Let's go. Boy, every time I try to rewind this, it doesn't play. Let's try this again. Sorry, you guys.
We reviewed footage of the entire incident. Rahman's lawyer told us she was overwhelmed by conflicting commands from ICE.
Cheryl has her seatbelt on while I dragged her out of the car.
In chaos, you can hear her say she is disabled. Chief O'Hara hadn't seen the video before we showed it to him.
Oh my God.
You were shaking watching that.
Obviously, I don't know why law enforcement officers initially approached the vehicle. It pisses me off to see that. To see men doing that to a woman who's disabled. It pisses me off.
And it should piss us off too. It's utterly disgusting and despicable. She said it multiple times. She's disabled. She's disabled. They didn't care. A U.S. citizen, you guys. They didn't care. And can you blame people for being pissed off at ICE agents? Could you blame them? And again, I'm not justifying their behaviors. I'm not justifying the protesters interfering of their jobs. But can you blame them actually witnessing what they're doing to this woman when Rahman repeatedly saying, "I'm disabled," and instead of giving her the proper care, they just dragged her like a rag dog, disregard what she was saying, disregard that she was heading to a doctor's appointment. She was not one of the protesters. She was not harassing. She nothing. She was not resisting arrest. She said she's disabled. She could not move. And basically no disregard what she said. It's utterly disgusting. So how can you blame and be upset with people who are upset with ICE the way they're treating other human beings, let alone a citizen of the United States who was born here, who they were not even looking for in the first place? It's utterly disgusting.
If those cops worked for me, they'd have a problem right now.
Marcos Charles of ICE had a different take. He said Aliya Rahman was given repeated warnings. She was arrested but never charged.
So arrested but never charged. So what does that mean in layman's terms? Basically, she was not doing anything. She was heading to her doctor's appointment. And for this idiot, not even apologizing, not saying that the agents are going to be reprimanded or fired for what they did to a woman, a disabled woman, is utterly disgusting to me. And shame on him. Shame on him.
Our officers are told that they give one warning to follow the lawful instruction to stop impeding. If she did not obey that lawful order, then she was going to get arrested.
You know, I showed this same clip to the Minneapolis police chief, and he said, if those cops worked for him, they'd have a problem.
We're not Minneapolis PD.
Are you bothered by seeing American citizens getting detained in these operations?
I'm bothered
You should be.
by seeing people take action against my officers.
Again, he couldn't even answer the question. She didn't do anything. Instead of saying, I apologize on the behalf of the ICE agents. This will never, ever happen again. We will have proper training. The person who did this will be fired. He didn't even say that. He didn't even he just justified it like it was okay. She did not resist arrest. She was on her way to the doctor's appointment. This is why people are upset, because people like him are not holding these agents accountable for it. It's utterly disgusting. I'm disgusted by this. And you guys should too.
Using vehicles to try to ram them, assault.
Again, lies. What vehicle? You heard the reporter. The ICE agents block her entry, block the street. She couldn't even pass through. So how can he just say that with a straight face, saying that she was blocking? She was heading to a doctor's appointment, a brain injury doctor's appointment.
My officers, our officers are humans, they're people.
So is she, my guy. So is Aliya Rahman. She is human as well, who was disabled. Disgusting. Utterly disgusting. Okay. Now I'm going to show you guys her testimony. It's very long, but it's super important that you hear her testimony, the entirety, because it's so moving that I had to stop. To be honest with you, I had to stop because I was just crying. Just listening to her testimony, her showing footage, what happened to her. It's just utterly sad, and something has to change, because this can't continue to keep happening in every state that the ICE agents go to. It can't. There have to be proper training. There have to be proper protocol that you cannot just harass U.S. citizens and just thinking that they can do whatever they want. Their job is to arrest illegal criminals. That's their job. That's what I voted for, among other people, not to detain and arrest U.S. citizens. Okay? Now, that's one thing. If protesters are interfering and they're getting in your face and they're harassing you and you feel like your life is threatened, then yes, you should arrest them because they should not interfere with law enforcement. They should not do anything to jeopardize your well-being and their well-being too. That I can say. However, what I've been witnessing and seeing is utterly disgusting. I'm sorry. I'm outraged. I'm pissed because this shouldn't never happen. And I don't understand why they're not following, ICE agents not following protocol, why they're just not being disobedient. They're not following the rule book. It's basically, to me, it seems like they're going rogue and they're just doing whatever they want. So whoever is in charge is saying, you know what, just not listen to these U.S. citizens. Just do what you want. If they resist arrest, if you feel like your life is threatened, then take them down. That's what I believe that whoever's in charge is telling these ICE agents, which they shouldn't be doing that, especially if they're U.S. citizens and they're not doing anything to not resist arrest, but they're not doing anything to interfere with your arresting illegal criminals, right? But anyway, take a listen to Aliya Rahman, her testimony in her entirety. It's super important that you guys listen to it. And if anyone don't know who she is, this is who she is. Beautiful, beautiful woman, and she's very brave and what's the word? She has the courage. She's very brave to do this because at least she's alive to testify and tell her stories. Most people are not. B'nai Good, Alex Pretty, both of them are dead. So she's the one who is standing up for the harassment and basically, I wouldn't say abuse, but just the harassment and just not having human kindness and not having empathy or sympathy for people who are disabled and who did nothing wrong by just heading to a doctor's appointment. It's just crazy. But take a listen to her testimony, her entirety.
Aliya Rahman, and I'm a resident of South Minneapolis. I'm a Bangladeshi American, born in northern Wisconsin, and I'm a disabled person with autism and a traumatic brain injury. Not all autistic brains do this, but mine fixates on sounds, numbers, and patterns. And while what the world saw happen to me exactly 3 weeks ago today on video was a terrible violation, it is still nothing compared to the horrific practices I saw inside the Whipple Center. So I am here today with a duty to the people who have not had the privilege of coming home, and I offer this data because these practices must end now. On January 13th, on the way to my 39th appointment at Hennepin County's Traumatic Brain Injury Center, I encountered a traffic jam caused by ICE vehicles and no signs indicating how to get around it. I had not wanted to pull into a blocked, chaotic intersection, but verbally agreed to do so and rolled down my window after an agent yelled, "Move, I will break your effing window." His first instruction. Agents on all sides of my vehicle yelled conflicting threats and instructions that I could not process while watching for pedestrians. Then the glass of the passenger side window flew across my face. I yelled, "I'm disabled," at the hands grabbing at me, and an agent said, "Too late." I felt immersed in a pattern, and I thought of Genoa Donald, an autistic black man killed by police during a traffic stop in 2021. I remembered Mr. Sliberio Gonzalez, who was killed by ICE in his vehicle last year. An agent pulled a large combat knife in front of my face, which I thought was for cutting me. and later learned was used to cut off my seatbelt. Shooting pain went through my head, neck, and wrists when I hit the ground face first and people leaned on my back. I felt the pattern, and I thought of Mr. George Floyd, who was killed 4 blocks away. I was carried face down through the street by my cuffed arms and legs while yelling that I had a brain injury and was disabled. I now cannot lift my arms normally. I was never asked for ID, never told I was under arrest, never read my rights, and never charged with a crime. Approaching the Whipple Center, I saw Black and brown bodies shackled together, chained together, being marched by yelling agents outdoors. I continue to hear the word bodies because that is how agents refer to us. We're bringing in a body. They're bringing in bodies, 7, 8 at a time. Where do I put them? We can't use that room. There's already a body in there. You have no reason to believe you will make it out alive if you are already being called body. Agents repeatedly had to stop and ask how to do tasks. I received no medical screening, phone call, or access to a lawyer. I was denied a communication navigator when my speech began to slur. Agents laughed as I tried to immobilize my own neck. I asked for my cane and was told no, pulled up my arms and prodded forward in leg irons by agents laughing and saying, "Walk, you can do it, walk." Agents did not know if the facility had a wheelchair. When I was finally placed in one to be taken to interrogation, an agent taunted, "You were driving, right? So you're let do work." I pleaded for emergency medical care for over an hour after my vision had become blurry, my heart rate went through the roof, and the pain in my neck and head became unbearable. It was denied. When I became unable to speak, my cellmate pleaded for me. The last sounds I remember before I acted on the floor were my cellmate banging on the door, pleading for a medic, and a voice outside saying, "We don't want to step on ICE's toes." When I opened my eyes at Hennepin County's emergency room, I learned I was brought there to be treated for assault. The impacts of DHS detention on my physical, mental, and financial well-being and safety have been very severe, but I do not deserve more humane treatment than anyone else, U.S. citizen or not.
Amen.
And I am here today with a strong spirit and a duty to the many people who haven't had the privilege to tell their stories or see their loved ones come home. I am extremely distressed by the pattern that violence from law enforcement has been happening to Black and Indigenous communities for centuries, and to DHS survivors for over 20 years. We call ourselves a civilized nation, but we lack rules and accountability around what a person claiming to be law enforcement is permitted to do to another human being. I am not afraid, and I'm not afraid to keep working on this problem even after ICE is gone. Thank you for your time.
Amen. Wow, what a powerful testimony. What a powerful encouragement, courage that she did. Aliya Rahman. And I salute her. I really do. And I hope and pray she gets justice. Because what happened to her should not have happened. It shouldn't happen to her. It shouldn't happen to Renee Good. It shouldn't happen to Alice Pretty. We should be outraged and pissed. This is utterly disgusting. And you saw the look at these people's faces, the congressman's face, congresswomen's face too. They were utterly disgusted and shocked by this. That ICE agents can actually do this to another human being. let alone a U.S. citizen detaining her for medical treatment, detaining her for not for her seeking to call her lawyer. Disgusting. I'm sorry, they need to be retrained, okay? Because this is not what you do to U.S. citizens. When they're telling you they are disabled, when they're telling you they need medical treatment, when they tell you they need to call their lawyer, they're basically taking away her First Amendment rights. They're treating her like garbage. They're treating her like she's not a human being. And I'm outraged. This is disgusting. Poor, disgusting behavior that you can do to someone, let alone a woman. And they continue to do it. And then the person that's in charge of these agents, they're justifying it. Oh, they're the one that are attacking the ICE agents. They're the one that the ICE agents felt threatened. Like, hello, are you trying to convince us what we saw? What we saw that it basically is not matching what we've seen. So basically, what we saw on video, you're trying to tell us that's not what really happened. Like, we don't have eyes to see. Like, get serious here. Utterly disgusting. And we should be fed up. Now, I'm not saying that we should just dismantle ICE agents. However, they should follow the proper channels and not harass and detain U.S. citizens, and they should be retrained. Now, I'm not saying that they should be off the streets or get rid of ICE. I'm not saying that. I'm all for ICE agents to detain and arrest illegal criminals. That's what they got. That's their job, basically. And what I'm trying to say is they have a job to do, and their job is to do that, not to harass U.S. citizens. Now, like I keep saying, if they feel like their life is threatened and they're protesting, which they have their First Amendment right to protest, and if it gets out of hand, and if one of the protesters get aggressive, and one of the ICE agents feel like they're feeling threatened, then detain them and arrest them, and let them do their due process. But what I've been seeing in Minneapolis is just crazy. It's utterly disgusting. There's ICE agents all over the place, and you don't see any mayhem that's going on. You don't see none of that. Now, I get it that, Governor Tim Walz was telling people, telling these people, oh, if you see ICE, don't resist, don't let them arrest certain people. I'm sorry, why you listen to a mayor and governor? Like, you think if you get arrested by ICE and if you listen to one of the governor and saying, telling you, if you see an ICE agent, get in their face, harass them, spit at them, hit them, you think Tim Walz is going to arrest you? No. You got to think. You have to be smart about it. ICE have a job to do by arresting illegal criminals, okay? Now, I get it that a lot of people are saying, well, they're going after migrants that have been working here for a long time. They're going after going to the schools, their place of business. I get all that. I really do. And it's not right. I understand that it's not right because you have good people, hardworking people that are doing the right thing and laying low and paying their taxes and providing for their family, and they get the end of the stick of it. I get that. However, at the same token, they're here illegally. They're not following the proper channels. So therefore, they have to go back and then reapply just like everyone else. My parents have done it, excuse me. Other people that I know had done it. You have to follow the proper channel. I don't agree going to a place of business and going to the schools and scaring children and arresting, people that they were work in their place of business. That I don't agree with. I think there's other ways to do that without causing a disruption, causing mayhem. And what happened to Aliya Rahman was just totally disgusting, and it was not right. And I hope that she sees justice, and I hope she sues them. I hope she sues the ICE agents because they should be sued, and they should have been fired because what they did was utterly disgusting. And my heart goes out to her, and I'm going to pray for her. And obviously, she's never going to be the same again. It's bad enough that she's already disabled, right? Now, ICE agents, what they did to her made it 10 times worse for her, even more worse than ever. And it's just not right. And we all need to stick up and say something about this. Say enough is enough. You know what I mean? Enough is enough. The violence have to stop. and ICE agents need to follow rules and regulations and follow protocols. Now, if their life is in danger or their life is threatened, that's one thing. Do what you've been trained to do. And what I've been seeing is absolutely not training at all. It's absolutely mayhem, and they're just arresting American citizens for no apparent reason. No apparent reason, because they feel like they can, because they're hiding underneath a mask and because they have a gun, which that doesn't make you law enforcement, to be honest with you. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Moving on to, let's talk about the negative feedback of the halftime performance. Now, I did not watch the halftime Super Bowl of Bad Bunny. I heard of him. I know that he is very, not powerful, but popular, most popular in the world. And I don't know what's the big deal. Bad Bunny, okay, he performed in Spanish. What's the big deal? Why are people getting so upset about it? Spanish. And I love Spanish music. I really do. But what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It's over. The Super Bowl is over, and everyone is talking about, I'm hearing everyone talk about, oh, he shouldn't have performed because he performed in Spanish. And you have a lot of Spanish people here in the United States that's been here for a long time, don't even speak a lick of English. You don't see me getting bent out of shape, even though they should learn how to speak English. I don't know how to speak Spanish, but I want to learn how to speak Spanish. But my point is, who cares? Who cares? And Megyn Kelly, she was on Piers Morgan. Boy, she went off. She went heavily off. Like, my goodness, like how he shouldn't have performed in the halftime Super Bowl. All of it was in Spanish. It should be American. He is American. He was born in the United States. It's just that most of his songs and his albums are Spanish. What's the difference? I love the Spanish music, you know what I mean? Because they have that beat and that rhythm and stuff like that. Even though I don't understand it, but I just love Spanish culture and I love Spanish music and food and everything. I just don't know why Megyn Kelly is getting bent out of shape. Why she's getting bent out of shape and upset. But take a listen to what she had to say about the Bad Bunny performance, and then we can go from there. Take a listen to Megyn Kelly. She was hot in the collar
and performed the whole show in Spanish.
Yes.
As a middle finger to the rest of America.
I have to disagree. It's not a middle finger to what's the issue? What's the issue? And you know what? I bet you a lot of Spanish people are very happy and was proud and like, oh my gosh, for the first time in, I don't know, I don't want to say history. Okay, history, that you have this performer, Bad Bunny, actually performing in Spanish. You know, a lot of people are probably happy about that. You know what I mean? And well, should. It's different. It's something that never happened before. And I don't know why Megyn Kelly, among other people, are getting bent out of shape of it. Okay, he did not say anything political, okay, which a lot of people thought that he was going to, but his PR manager and a lot of people work with him said, don't even, just perform, give good music, and that's it, and which he did. And like I said, I did not watch the halftime, but I saw like bits and pieces of it. And I just love the stage setup. I just love everything about it. Again, I don't see what's the big deal. I don't see what's the big deal in him performing in Spanish.
Who gives a damn that we have 40 million Spanish speakers in the United States? We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country.
She sounds very angry, very angry. I don't know why she would be angry. A lot of people were very happy about the performance and really liked the performance, even though Bad Bunny is not a fan of, I'm not a fan of his, okay? I don't listen to his music, but I don't really care. It's no sweat off my back. I really don't care. But I heard it was a good performance and he did a great job, and good for him. Good for him. What is the big deal? What is the big deal if he performed in Spanish? And I listen to some Spanish music and I don't understand what they're saying, but I just love the beat and the rhythm. And I have Spanish friends and they translate to me what they're saying. And I'm like, okay, cool. So the next time I play it again, then I know what they're talking about, even though it's in Spanish, but at least I know what they're saying. You get what I'm saying? I don't understand what's the big deal, Megyn Kelly. What's the big deal? you really getting bent out of shape out of nothing, to be honest.
We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
Okay, what is the national language, officially, the national language of the United States of America?
I mean, English. And there's been a push for many years to make it an official,
you don't have one.
Documented thing.
You don't have one.
If you would have let me finish my comment, I would have pointed that out. That people have been pushing to make it official.
Okay,
right,
so you're trying to make official.
This attitude that you have right here is why you in Great Britain have lost your culture. You ceded your culture to a bunch of radical Muslims who came in and took over, and now it's gone. We're not allowing that here. Whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Muslim, it's not happening in the United States of America. That's why President Trump was elected. And whether it's Bad Bunny, who is American but refuses to speak English in his performances.
And he's had that right. He has that right. If you don't want to perform in English, he doesn't have to perform in English. That is his amendment rights. If he wants to perform in Spanish, he can do so. And there's nothing that Megyn Kelly can say to do about it. If you was not happy about Jay-Z's decision by booking Bad Bunny, you didn't have to watch the halftime, which probably she didn't. But my thing is, what is the big deal? There's no big deal about this. If he wants to sing in Spanish, let him. Most people were happy about his performance anyway. Yeah, it was in Spanish. Yes, no one didn't understand what he was saying. Okay, life goes on. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not at the end of the world. And to me, it was different. Something that we never seen before. I never seen before. Again, I did not watch the halftime performance. I'm not a Bad Bunny fan. But you know what? I give him respect. I give him that credit, especially the whole layout, the setup, everything that he did, Bohiga, everything. This seems like Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? I've been to Puerto Rico several times. Beautiful, the culture, the food, everything about Puerto Rico. I just love. You know what I mean? Again, what's the big deal? The Super Bowl is over. He already performed. I don't see why it's such a big stink about it. I don't see it. But you let me know. Anyone drop in a comment if they watched the halftime Super Bowl. And what do you think about this? Because I would love for your comments, and I would love for you to get your feedback. Do you think that this was a negative thing for Bad Bunny to perform in Spanish? Or, to be honest, was it a big deal or was it not a big deal? I would love to get your feedback, and please drop it in the comment because I would like to know. Because to me, in my opinion, I thought it was okay. I really didn't care less, to be honest with you, whether it was Spanish or English. Look at what with Shakira. She's Colombian, right? And you had Jennifer Lopez who performed. You had a bunch of people in the past perform. What's the big deal? Because you just don't like Bad Bunny because he doesn't like ICE agents, and he probably said some negative things about Trump that you don't like because you're a mega supporter. And you just don't like that. At least say that. But just don't get upset because Bad Bunny was performing in Spanish.
Or anybody else. We have to keep the Super Bowl, which is a quintessential American event. Football, that kind of football, is ours. They call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially American. Not Spanish, not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
Well, you told Piers Morgan, apple pie, fried chicken, meatloaf. No, mofongo, no Spanish rice, no beef, none of that. Just American food, no Spanish food, basically. And I love some Spanish food. I love the mofongo. Ooh. Especially the authentic one in Puerto Rico. My goodness, delicious. Especially the garlic mofongo, delicious. I don't know what Megan's problem is. Anyway, something up her ass. But anyway, and I kind of like Megyn Kelly. She's very opinionated, very strong. But I have to disagree with her on this one. It's just like, no. No, Megyn. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you didn't like the decision that Jay-Z made. And don't get me wrong, I don't really care for Jay-Z. I used to listen to his music, but I don't care for him anymore. A lot of things are speculating around him, which I will talk about later, not right now, today. But my point is, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? I don't see anyone else caring. Who cares? If, he was born here. He's from Puerto Rico. He wanted to represent his heritage. He wanted to represent where he came from. And why not? Why the F not? Why the F not? But anyway, listen to this TikToker talking about the Super Bowl. And I have to say, I agree with her 100%. And she couldn't say it better than myself. And I'm just going to let her take over because she's 100% correct. Take a listen.
At the feedback from Bad Bunny's performance last night, especially from African Americans, because if don't nobody else understand, we should understand. It wasn't too long ago that we didn't get to shine. It wasn't too long ago that we wasn't being able to be on the platform. It wasn't too long ago that we were being overlooked. So when it comes time for them to finally let somebody else from another minority come in and take up the space, we should be there, arms clapping, full support.
Yes.
I didn't understand nothing that was going on, but I was because you want to know why? Because they deserve that. Because they make up a percentage in this United States of America as well. And he is from a U.S. territory. And he is the #1 international artist in the world, which means...
And she ain't lying. It's facts. Spotify and everything. #1. Okay? Like I said, I don't listen to that type of music, but I have to give the man props. He worked his ass off to be where he's at right now. And who can discredit that? Who can be mad at that? Whatever his political belief or whatever, the man worked hard and rightfully so. So why are people getting upset about him singing a song in Spanish? And some of them who was hating, they were dancing, doing the cha-cha and all that stuff. So whatever.
That he surpassed your favorite artist by hoops and bounds, which means that it's not just the people that speak his language that's jamming to him. It's other people as well. And if y'all can't sit back for at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and just accept the fact that somebody else was given a platform that didn't look like what we've been used to for years and years before, it's ridiculous. Sometimes we put in a situation to where how we express ourselves is looked down upon. The type of music that we listen to and that we love is looked down upon. When Kendrick Lamar did his performance, they were saying they didn't understand what he had going on. So the same way that they didn't understand, but he deserved it, is the same way that we may not understand the language that Bad Bunny was singing in his songs, but nevertheless, he deserved the platform.
Amen.
You know how many people had never seen somebody that looked like them on the stage before? We're not the only ones that been through that. We're not the only ones that have never been in a position to where we could sit down at a Super Bowl and be able to fully understand everything that was happening. So just because somebody else is getting their turn or getting their seat at the table does not mean that this is the time to crack jokes and do this and that. The climate that we in is not, we don't have time for the jokes. We don't have time for the idiocracy. We don't have time to be ignorant to what it is that's going on. He deserved that just like Kendrick deserved that. His people deserve that just like we deserve that. When they started deciding to let it be Kendrick. When they decided to let it start being Rihanna. Because before then, it wasn't none of that. So instead of sitting there cracking jokes and talking about how, they need a translator, when have you ever seen of all the concerts, of all the different things that go on, that they've had a translator up there with something in Spanish and this, that, and the third, so that other people who live in this nation among us could understand fully what was going on? Not never. So when it switches, why would we have a problem? It makes no sense. And y'all are wrong for that. Because we should be standing there, arms clapping, in full support, jamming, even if we don't understand.
And she's right about that. Like I said, I listen to Spanish music. I have some on my playlist. I have no idea what they're saying unless someone translated to me, which I told you my girlfriend, my best friend have, and I still jam to it. Okay, because I still remember what she told me about the lyrics. And some of the songs that my best friend haven't told me about, I still jam to it because I just love the beat and the rhythm and everything. And she's correct. I still jam to it. And a lot of people do that too. What's the problem? What's the problem? There shouldn't be an issue. There should be all celebrated. Something different. And an artist like that, like Bad Bunny, who's very popular, is representing his heritage, representing his background, representing Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? I don't know what's the big deal. He didn't cause any trouble. He didn't make a statement of anything of ICE or anything political. He was just performing and doing what he loves to do. So people need to like take a chill pill and relax. And the Super Bowl is over. The halftime performance is over. Get over it. It's done. Done. And I hope they do something next year, something bigger and better. Maybe have another Spanish performers, because people just being outraged for no apparent reason.
I'm happy that he got the opportunity. I'm happy that people that look like him and speak his language got the opportunity to turn on the TV and feel like they were finally at home, to feel as though they were finally accepted, to see that they have a piece of a part of the puzzle that's supposed to make us the melting pot that we say that we are. So to sit up here and do all of that extra and to crack all of these jokes, if don't nobody else understand, we should understand. These people are being taken down in the streets, unnecessarily so. Wrongfully so. And y'all mean to tell me that they don't deserve a moment to celebrate? They don't deserve a moment to be happy? They don't deserve a moment to feel comfortable in their own skin, hearing somebody on stage, listening, doing music that they understand? They don't deserve that the same way we deserve that, the same way we were outraged when it was happening to us and still happening to us. They deserve that. So to not give them their moment and to be cracking jokes and have such a negative feedback about it is ridiculous. And sometimes we have to take a step back and look into the mirror and understand that two wrongs ain't never made a right. Two wrongs ain't never put nobody in a better position. So the same way that it's wrong to be done to us and we deserved it is the same way that it's wrong for them and they deserve a moment as well. Do better.
Do better. And I'm saying that to Megyn Kelly. Do better. Do better. And you know what? That woman, said it better. And she was amazing. And I agree with her 100%. I really do. And with that being said, I'm just going to leave it as that. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me live. And I will see you guys on the next live. Take care. God bless. I'll see you guys soon.